That was so overpowering, we may have burned out a few picture tubes. For those of you who are still with us, this is a half-hour show commemorating TV8's 20th birthday.
Jamming 20 years into 30 minutes sounds like an impossible task. Well, it almost is. But through a process our film production department calls filmographic animation, we can run through the whole 2 decades in about 3 minutes. Well, for those of you who thought that was just a little bit fast, we'll give you an instant replay, starting at the beginning. One of the big song hits of 1949 was Some Enchanted Evening. And that might describe the night TV8 premiered. Nikki Pierce is standing by at the spot where it all began 20 years ago tonight.
This is the Continental Room of the Hotel San Diego, the place where TV8 had its opening night gala that enchanted evening, May 16, 1949. This is what the San Diego Journal had to say about it. Tonight's the night for all the hoop-de-doo to get KFMB-TV officially launched on the television air lanes. Fancy speeches, flashy banquet, and imported entertainment from Hollywood. The program log that night started with a test pattern at 7:30. Test patterns were very big in those days. People would actually sit around and stare in awe that a picture was coming out of nowhere. Then at 8 that evening, Mayor Harley Knox put the station on the air by flipping a big switch. As it turned out, the technicians were soldering the last few wires just before the mayor put on the ceremony. An estimated 50,000 people saw that first show. Very few had their own TV sets, and there were large crowds in front of many San Diego appliance stores. Here was the premiere program. Entertainment emceed by Al Jarvis, Music by the Sons of the Pioneers, Martha Tilton, Clark Dennis, Bert Schefter, the Ernie Felice Quartet, and Johnny Moore and the Three Blazers. Who could ever forget the Three Blazers? One man who remembers that night very well is Jack Gross, the original owner of TV8. George Lewis recently talked to him about the perils of early television.
Mr. Gross, in being a television pioneer, what was your biggest problem? Just keeping the station on the air?
It was a problem. I believe, actually, our main problem was to excite people into buying a television receiver. We couldn't hope for financial success unless we got some sort of circulation, and the set would have to come first.
After running a very successful radio operation in KFMB radio, what made you decide to take the plunge into this new experimental baby, television?
I'd never had given any thought to anything other than I would be in television. I had studied it for 10 years before. I had gone to every place where it could be seen or where anyone would speak about it. And I was just determined that this would be an activity that would be natural for me to go into, which I did. Maybe I just didn't have sense enough to realize the financial dangers that were inherent at that time, and I guess in some areas still are, but I went.
Originally, TV8 was on the air 28 hours a week. That schedule has now more than quadrupled to 133 hours per week. What about some of the early shows that filled that time, before tape and before there was even a coast-to-coast network? As Jack Gross pointed out, one of the earliest problems was selling TV sets. Remember Hoffman Easy Vision? Well, they sponsored a contest called Hoffman High Time, which helped keep the station on the air and helped sell more receivers. And then there was a program called Quiz of Two Cities, using a studio audience in San Diego and another group in Los Angeles. The San Diegans kept winning the quiz, and the LA station eventually canceled its half of the show. Smokey Rogers presided over a 3-hour-long country western telethon every weekday for several years. Smokey and his band, the Myers Sisters, Carol Salentine, and numerous recording stars were staples of San Diego television for a long time. In addition, Smokey did a radio show every morning from his own home and emceed a western movie on TV8. Another country star who had a large following on TV8 was the late Monty Hall. Quite a variety of persons paid visits to his tiny town ranch in the 50s. From out of the west come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again. Besides western music, western adventure filled the air in the early days. The Lone Ranger and other cowboy heroes ruled the screen in the early and mid-50s.
Programs have come and gone. During various years, TV8 has had cooking shows, a magic show, live highlight games from Tijuana, bingo, and roller derby. And there even was a one-shot attempt at putting 2 movies on the screen at the same time. The experiment never was repeated. During all the experimentation, the trial and the error, there has been one thing TV8 started in 1949 that's been on the air ever since: the news.
One of the charter members of the TV8 Club is Harold Keene, who's still doing his thing 20 years later. His thing is interviews, and Harold estimates he's done about 15,000 of them during his television career. Harold's face is undoubtedly one of the most familiar ones on San Diego television.
How's your name? Mr. Keene, K-E-E-N, Keene. Mr. Keene. Keene, K-E-E-N. Keene, like a knife.
Keen like a knife, the kind of incisive reporting that's become this man's trademark. But in addition to all the hard news he's covered, Harold Keene recalls some of the lighter moments in his career.
Early days of TV, before the widespread use of film or videotape, things seem to be a lot more spontaneous than they are today. If a guest didn't show up, we did most of our stuff live in those days, and if a guest didn't show up, we probably would either not have a show or have to depend on one of our own staff to come on as a substitute and tell about his own thrilling experiences of the past. In the 1950s, when wrestling was quite popular in San Diego, the wrestlers would come down every Tuesday night, and I'd have them on the program and interview them, and then have them put me through one of their favorite holds. We had a big mat out on the floor, and they would toss me on the mat. Once we had a midget do a flying drop kick and knock me on my back, and then to crown the humiliation, came out behind me and lifted me up. This little tiny guy, about, I don't know, 3 feet 6 inches tall. It really has been a fascinating 20 years. Some 15,000 persons have been interviewed on People in the News during this time, including some of the world's most famous people. But my favorites really are the local people, the ordinary, so-called ordinary San Diegans who've suddenly been thrust into the spotlight because of some dramatic occurrence in their lives. And we hope to continue meeting such people from day to day with more People in the News, perhaps another 20 years.
Harold Keene started interviewing people in the news in 1949. 2 years later, TV8 added the San Diego newsreel and hired Paul White as news director. Paul White, one of the pioneers of electronic journalism, is regarded as the father of radio news. One of those who remembers Paul White best is TV8 news director Ray Wilson.
We started our full-fledged news operation in 1951 with 6 people: Paul White, Harold Keene, Stuart Batt, our news editor. I was there, and we had 2 cameramen. This was a pretty ambitious project, really, because we had to put out 30 minutes of news every night. We had one of the most extensive news operations on the entire West Coast at that time. And it was quite a struggle finding 30 minutes of news every evening, believe me. Now, of course, we put out 90 minutes at 6 o'clock, 5:30, and we have another 30 minutes at 11 o'clock. And we have now grown to about 18 persons in the news department. Paul White was head of CBS News during World War II. He oversees the work of Edward R. Murrow, William L. Shirer, and many others of similar prominence. His basic principles were accuracy, objectivity, impartiality. All of these principles we have tried to follow since he began the news department. We still have many of the scripts that he wrote, and occasionally we refer to them as editorials in his commentaries. He left CBS News after World War II because of his health. When he came here, he was in frail health, but still he had a drive, and he was a fierce competitor, and he refused to accept excuses when you came back with a story that wasn't as good as that of the opposition. And that's one of the things I remember best about him, his inability to accept second-best reporting.
Over the years, TV8 news, special events, and entertainment programs have collected a multitude of awards for the station, including a National Emmy in 1951 for special events, 2 regional Emmys in 1967 and 68 for community service, the Sylvania Award in 1959 for the Outstanding Locally Produced Children's Program. Also in '59, the News Film Station of the Year Award. During several years, the news department has taken a number of golden mics, including one for the best news program in Southern California. Also awards for educational groups, service clubs, and charitable organizations for continued programming in the public interest. In its 20 years, TV8 has devoted 62,400 hours to public service messages and programs. If you had to pay for that much television time, it would cost you about $11 million.
Let's take a look at some of the things which have won the awards in TV8's 20 years. Zoorama started in 1951 to show off the world's most interesting zoo. The program has been seen all over the nation and in other parts of the globe, both as a syndicated show and as an offering of the CBS television network. Zoorama was the winner of the Sylvania Award, one of many high honors for that show. ORN, the story of the work performed by operating room nurses. This 30-minute documentary took the silver medal at the 1967 International Film and TV Festival in New York. It was acclaimed for its highly unusual and dramatic production techniques.
Normal position of the hand with indwelling pins, as you can see on the X-ray. And he should have a good result. At least the first portion of the procedure, the first stage, has been good.
Susie, for the dressing, we'll want fluorescent gauze. Parallax. Spiral stockinette and cotton batting.
Okay. He won't want any nails torn out. Okay.
If you can.
In the news area, TV8's coverage of a 4-hour shootout between police and a murder suspect in a downtown San Diego pawn shop won a whole series of awards in 1966, including the National Headliners Club Prize for outstanding TV news coverage in the nation's major markets. The story also took a Golden Mike for the best news film in Southern California and a statewide award for spot news from the California Associated Press Radio Television Association. Operation Thanks, for 2 years running, has won the Regional Emmy from the Television Academy of Arts and Sciences. Conceived as a two-part tribute to American servicemen at Christmas time in 1967 and 68, Operation Thanks and Mayor Frank Curran of San Diego have taken filmed greetings from the city to the GIs overseas and then have returned with documentaries about the men in uniform. In those 2 years, TV8's Operation Thanks crew has logged over 50,000 miles of air travel. That's only a partial list, but it includes some of the highest honors any TV station can hope to gather.
One of the reasons we decided to call this a television odyssey is the definition of the very word odyssey, a long journey usually marked by changes in fortune. That would pretty well sum up the television business, which has made a long journey from infancy to adulthood in 20 years. And there have been plenty of changes in fortune during that time. In addition to the award-winning efforts, TV has had its share of bombs, phoners, and bloopers.
Ah, yes, the bloopers. Where would broadcasting be without them? When it was all live TV, bloopers would go out over the air and be gone forever. Now, with the advent of tape, they aren't seen on the air as much, but they do hang around the vaults to haunt people like us who go in front of the cameras.
So we searched our TV8 film and tape files for a few gems, and here they are.
Let me try it again. San Diego officials expect National Cash Register to ring up a bright new economic boost for the city with this. Stop rolling a minute. San Diego officials expect National Cash Register Company to ring up a bright new economic boost for the city with this manufacturing.
You know, that's the last time I ever threw away my notes in anger. It's amazing how one little gust of wind can scatter a few lousy pieces of paper.
This next one is a case of delayed reaction. The fellow in this car commercial doesn't realize right away that he's goofed.
This is a low mileage car, not a high mileage car. $49.85 on that. We're open 9 days a week till 7 o'clock every night. Now here's a 1966, 9 days a week, 7 days a night.
That's one of the most beautiful commercials I have ever seen.
Isotox, the best-selling garden insecticide, is now even better because it's a systemic. It's absorbed right into the plant system. Rain or sleet or hail will deliver the mail at any...
You'll have to watch this next one very carefully as the picture fades out on this TV classroom teacher. Sometimes all those hours in front of the cameras and under the hot lights can really get to a person.
So, until this Saturday afternoon, have a good time sewing. Goodbye.
Bloopitis can happen to anyone, even the most seasoned pros, like TVA sports director Lyle Bond.
So to speak, in Houston, Texas, waiting Sunday's game between the Chargers and the Oilers, I'd like to take just a moment to say thanks to the many people of you. Start over!
One thing you never want to do on television is get your wires crossed. Here at the San Diego Zoo, Bob Dale nearly becomes a human light bulb.
Stop the speed ramp. You being a curator of mammals, we have permission to stop the speed ramp for just a moment, right?
Be my guest. The golden door is always open for you here in the zoo, and I'm sure speed ramps will stop.
Thanks, Doctor. What are you trying to do, electrocute me?
Hey, what happened?
What happened? It bit me. Next time you push the button.
No, your timing was bad. What? It should be opening well.
Doug Oliver, once again. He remembered his turtleneck, but forgot his mic.
Oh, no. This ruins the whole bit, you know, having to wear a microphone. I just blew the whole bit. I was going to say, I want to go home. I was going to say, do you notice anything different? and you were going to say, you dyed your hair. And I was going to say, no, silly.
Computer card for tonight's
Earlier,
contestant.
we showed you George Lewis in a sour mood. Here on this pilot tape for his History Cue segment of the big news, he gets hysterical. In order to help her husband preview History Cue for TV8 management, Jane Lewis portrayed the role of a lucky contestant. Watch George's reaction to her overreacting on the telephone.
Hello?
Mrs. Klutz?
Yes, who's this?
This is George Lewis on TV8. Were you watching us this evening?
Oh, yes. Oh, really?
Do you know the date of our History Cue?
I always watch the news. I'm so excited. Oh, my word, I can't believe you're calling me. 1937.
You're right, and you win $120.
I can't even believe it. Oh, I never thought I'd ever be called. Oh, I watch your news every, $120.
Well, aren't you very glad?
Listen, George, it's George, right?
Right.
Oh, I'm so excited, thank you.
Well, thank you for playing History Cue, and the check will be on its way.
Listen, thank you. Oh, it's so marvelous because my husband and I are just going on vacation. We can really use it. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
And there's another lucky history. It's things like that that make this business like no other. It certainly hasn't been a boring 2 decades for TV8.
Certainly not, when you consider all the different kinds of places, things, and people before our cameras in that time. For instance, people like presidents.
Presidency is the great office, it's the center of action. The 1960s are going to be very changing years, so I think everybody should make the decision whether they want to move forward or whether they want to stand still. And we want to move forward.
Thank you very much, Senator John Kennedy, in your
Thanks,
campaign.
sir. Thank you very much.
Advice.
One of Bob Mills' fondest memories was when Raquel Welch was his weather girl on Sunup. So we've had everyone from presidents to movie stars to the man on the street on TV8.
Speaking of the man on the street, Regis Philbin, who has since made it to national fame, started by doing exactly those kinds of interviews on this station.
Isn't it terrible? You know, do you understand the future? My future in this business depends on one name.
Yes. Well, I guess mine does too.
That's right. As a matter of fact, if you want to continue your television career another 10 seconds, you better come up with a name.
So we've had all kinds of people and creatures before our cameras.
The TV8 family, pelicans and people, has been an enduring one. 31 staff members have been here 15 years or longer. And that list includes TV8 General Manager George Whitney.
You have just seen some of the highlights of TV8's 20-year history. Some of the achievements, some of the people, and some of the humorous events which have all been a part of our growth as San Diego's first television station. Over the years, production techniques have changed, of course, and programming tastes have changed. And TV8 has changed, too, to reflect the needs and interests of our viewers in this challenging, growing San Diego city in motion. We've grown with the area beginning in 1949 with a staff of 4 people. TV8 now employs 116 men and women. some of whom have been with us 15 or more years. These are the people who have grown along with us. Most of them, unlike TV8's camera personalities, you don't recognize because they work behind the scenes in various departments here at TV8. Well, thanks for 20 wonderful years, and we look forward to growing with San Diego and assure you of our continued efforts to provide the finest in television service for you. Thank you.